Good morning, good afternoon, or whenever you are watching this video. Make sure you have your notes. They should be in file folder 2A, but I could be wrong. But make sure you have the notes that coincide with the Neolithic Revolution. Make sure your name and period is on your paper. This activity is collaborative, which means you can work with a classmate. Your learning target for this lesson is I will be able to describe the characteristics of a civilization. And so your exit ticket is going to ask you what is the most important characteristic or feature of a civilization and why. I don't have the why on there, but it's going to ask you that. So you should be able to answer both questions if you think you're ready for the mastery check. Let go. About 11,000 years ago, nomadic bands, remember nomad means people who move around looking for animals and grapes and berries, made a breakthrough that had huge effects. They learned to farm. Now, most of you don't think much of farming, but if there were no farms, there would be no food, and that would mean there would be no us. By producing their own food, they could remain in one place. Farmers thus settled into permanent villages and developed a new range of skills and tools. This change from nomadic to settled farming life ushered in the New Stone Age or Neolithic Age. So if you remember in our first lesson, it was the Old Stone Age or the Paleolithic Age. But now we're in the New Stone Age or Neolithic. Neo means new. Women may have been the first to discover that seeds grew new plants. She may have planted the first crops. This was huge. Shout out to you, ladies. Now, instead of going to the food, humans made the food come to them. They may have also seen that removing some plants enabled nearby ones to grow stronger. If game animals were scarce, a band might camp at a place where plants grew and began cultivating them season after season. People learned to domesticate or tame some of the animals they had once hunted. Rather than wait for migrating animals to return each year, hunters rounded them up, herded them into good grasslands, or penned them in through rough enclosures. The animals provided people with a source of protein. As a result, people stopped moving from their nomadic lifestyle chasing food and began to remain in one place. This is the beginning of civilization, in that we're not moving around, we're not hunter and gatherers, we're not nomads. We are all staying in one place and eventually building cities and building civilizations. That is the best and biggest part of the farming revolution. It allows people to stay in one place. Remember that. To farm, people had to develop new technologies. They had to find ways to protect their crops and measure out enough seed for the next year's harvest. They also needed to measure time accurately so that they would know when to plant and harvest. Gradually, they created the first calendars. In some places, farmers learned to use animals such as oxen or water buffalo to plow the fields. Different cultures developed calendars based on the cycles of the sun and the moon. These calendars were created by the Aztecs of Mexico and then later the Egyptian calendar. They also made tools, including polished axe heads and chipped arrowheads. In some parts of the world, Neolithic people learned to weave cloth from animal hair or vegetable fibers. In settled farming communities, the status of women declined as men came to dominate the family, economic, and political life. Heads of families, probably older men, formed a council of elders and made decisions about when to plant and harvest. When food was scarce, warfare increased, and some men gained prestige as warriors. These warriors asserted power over both women and other men. These changes did not mean that women lost all of their influence or rights. Rather, they showed that village life was reshaping the roles of both men and women. Settled people had more personal property than their nomadic ancestors. Some people accumulated more possessions than their neighbors, so differences in wealth appeared. Yet big differences among social classes did not exist at this time. Critical thinking question. How did life change for humans during the Neolithic Revolution? I said this very loudly and very boldly. It has to be in a complete sentence. Life was different from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic times because of, so I gave you this optional sentence starter. You don't have to use my sentence starter, but it has to be in a complete sentence. Life was different from the Paleolithic times to the Neolithic times because of, and tell me what was the major change between those times.